Hello, and welcome back to the second episode of our blogging season. Today, we're talking all about blogging consistency and how to maintain a steady content schedule as a photographer, because we know that can be super, super difficult. And honestly, we've also gone through this on our own before too. So you may or may not know, but we actually run a few other travel blogs, and there are definitely seasons where we are way more on top of blogging on those than other seasons. So trust me when I say we very much get it. And sometimes other parts of your business do need a bit more attention. And of course, this episode is also brought to you by Back Pocket Blogger, which is our 6-month blogging retainer. In this service, you'll be able to literally put in a request for an article and get it back within 72 business hours, which is so cool. And we've not seen an offer like this before for wedding professionals in particular. This is a 6-month service where you get 2 posts per month or 12 over the entirety of the retainer. And the investment is $3,000 paid in full or $500 a month over the course of the 6 months. And you'll be able to learn more about that down below.
So when it comes to blogging consistency, the first thing that we kind of want to touch on is setting realistic goals for your blog. So it can be, I know we've all fallen into it. We're like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go full on. I'm going to create 7 TikToks a day, every single day, and put them out. And then we get a day or two into it, we slip up, and then we just stop doing it and don't post for months. The same thing happens with blogs. So when you are working on improving your consistency with blogging, the first thing you want to figure out is what your blogging capacity is based on the other work that you have to do for your business. Because obviously, as a business owner, you're doing everything. You're wearing all of the hats. So if you could just dedicate all of your time to blogging, that would be awesome. We'd be doing it. It would be great, but it's not always realistic. So think about what you can realistically do every single month. Our suggestion would be to start with between 1 and 2. If one, maybe start small, just like, okay, I'm going to put 1 out a month. And then once you have started to consistently put out 1 a month, you can say, okay, maybe we can do 2 a month, see how that works. You also want to make sure that you are aligning your blog goals, so what you're actually writing about, the content you're putting up, with your overall business objectives. So if we're thinking about right now, maybe your goal in your business is to book more clients. You want to book out more. You want to make sure that you're writing posts and you're putting content in the post that is encouraging people to book your services, reach out to you. It's highlighting your work, your value, everything that you can do. And then it's saying, hey, if you still need a photographer, click here to check out my services, click here to get in touch, whatever it might be. You also want to make sure that you are tracking these milestones. So if your goal is to write 2 posts a month, track that somewhere. Say, okay, I've made it 6 months and I've written 2 posts a month every single month for 6 months. Like, does that feel good? Am I at the point where I'm doing it way faster now and I can maybe try and add another one in there? Or is this still a good kind of goal for me? I'm being consistent. I'm starting to see results and I'm not feeling too overwhelmed. So let me try and keep up this, 2-month cadence for another 6 months and see what happens. You can also, if it gets to the point where you're like, this is too much, I just can't do this anymore. I know the value of the blog post, but I just do not have the time or the energy to do it. You can also just hire out for it. It is a great option if you have too many things on your plate, if it's just not something you love doing, or maybe you're just not a writer, because let's be honest, not everyone is. Not everyone enjoys sitting down and writing. So if that's not you, hire it out. Hire people to write your blog posts. For us, like KP said, we have a 72 business hour turnaround on ours. So you have it really quick. You can shoot a session, have the preview gallery ready, a week later, and then 72 hours later, you'll have a blog post written about it. So it can be really quick, and that can be a great way if you are at the point where you're like, I don't have time for this. This is too overwhelming. It's not something I enjoy doing, but I know the value. You can always hire out.
Next, you're actually going to want to create an editorial calendar. So planning is so important when it comes to trying to stay on top of things. And the same can be true with blogging. And this is just so that you can try to actually be consistent. So what you'll want to do that is, once you know your blogging frequency, like Jessie said, you'll want to just mark dates in your calendar when 1, you want to publish the posts, and 2, when you're actually going to work on the posts. And I say to put both in your calendar so that, if you said that you're going to write the post one week, and then publish it the next, you'll be able to see ahead of time that you actually have like, a little bit of wiggle room if that day you do sit down at the computer and just happen to have writer's block. Like, it'll be okay. And that's why we always recommend too, like, trying to give yourself an internal due date that is before you'll actually be publishing, just so that, again, if anything comes up, it'll be okay. Because trust us, we've like done that before where we're like, no, like the due date is the day it needs to be published. And sometimes like it is just so hard to try to keep on top of that. So just to try to give you an example of what this could look like, let's say you want to publish 2 posts a month. And we're going with this example because it's what we include in our offer. And then also it's just what we've always found to work really well. So for this, let's say you'll spend 1 week writing and then 1 week uploading and publishing. So that'll give you a full week to do all of the writing. So let's say maybe on Tuesday of that week, or let's start on Monday. So Monday of that week, you pick your topic. Tuesday, you'll do keyword research. Wednesday, you outline. Thursday, you write the post, because again, if you actually have that outline, it really shouldn't take more than an hour to sit and write a post. Friday, you can proofread. And then the next week, at the very beginning of the week, let's say Monday and Tuesday, you can start to pick the photos for the post. Wednesday, you can upload the post. And Thursday, you can then go through and as you had been uploading the post, let's say that you had also been putting the photos in. So Thursday, you can go through and write all your alt text, make sure everything is all set for SEO, and then schedule it to go out on that Friday. So it's just an example of what that could look like. And then you would just repeat it, every 2 weeks as you get ready to kind of stay on that same cadence.
Now, another option you have when it comes to your post is to actually batch write and schedule your post. So if you are someone who's like, no, I just need to keep doing it and I just want to write a post 1 week, upload it the next week, write a post, upload it, amazing, stick to that schedule. You can also batch write. So the benefits of this is that it's kind of the idea of upfront work and then it kind of works for itself. It publishes by itself. You're putting in a couple hours maybe at the beginning of the month and then you don't have to worry about it for the rest of the month. When it comes to this, if you are thinking this might be a great option for you, some tips that we have are to try and break up the writing a little bit. So maybe you give yourself the first week of the month to write X amount of posts. That way you're not trying to sit down and are like, okay, I have to write 2 full posts today, or I have to write 3 posts today, or anything like that. You can maybe, like KP said, take Monday, do some keyword research, or think about your topics. Tuesday, you can research them. Wednesday, you can outline the post so that you're kind of breaking up the big chunks of the writing. And then Thursday, you can write the posts for the month that you have. Scheduling is also a great way to stay on top of this. So once you have written the post, you can go in, upload them to whatever you're using, Squarespace, WordPress, Wix, whatever it is. And then basically every single blog that we have come across will have the option to schedule. So in WordPress, for example, that's where most of our clients blog and that's where we blog. You can set the post date. It defaults to immediately, or you can click it and pick any date at all, any date, any time, and then you can schedule it. So if you are planning on doing this batch writing, you can write it all, upload them all at the same time, schedule them out for the next, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, however many posts you write, however often you want to schedule the post. And that way it's kind of set it, forget it, it's working, it's going to upload, you don't have to worry about it, but you know that you're being consistent. You can also put in additional content in between that. So say you have all your content batched out for the next 2 months. So you have 4 blog posts, 2 every month. You have those scheduled out. They're all good. But you do a session that you really love and you feel inspired and you're like, I really want to put a post out for this sooner. Absolutely do it. If you have a urge to create something and write something and blog about something, totally do it. You can put it out there any time of day. It's not going to matter or affect, the SEO side of things. If you normally post every other Friday and then all of a sudden you have a post on a random Tuesday, that's not going to affect anything. If you are like, I really love this, I want to put it out and I don't want to wait for it to go out in, X amount of weeks, write it, publish it. It's just an extra piece of content that you can put out. But batch writing is great if you are kind of looking for something that gives you some stability. It gives you deadlines to hit, but it's also not something that's going to be work, week in and week out throughout the month. It's more of a single time, sit down, get it all done.
And then we also wanted to briefly talk a little bit about repurposing content. So there are two different ways repurposing content can go, and we actually want to talk to you about one that you might not actually be thinking of. And that's to actually make your blog post writing a lot easier and to use content that you've already created elsewhere to create your blogs. So one example of this is social media posts. So I've seen so many photographers that we follow actually write really in-depth educational captions for their different posts that they put out. And if you've ever done that, like literally go onto your Instagram and just go back through your archives and see if you have. If you've ever done that, see if you can just elongate that and turn it into a blog post. And that can be a great starting point because you literally have like the bulk of the post written already. You can also use FAQs on your website. So if you have an FAQ section, go through those. And honestly, a lot of times those questions are keywords and you can just answer them in a blog post. And then, of course, if you ever get asked that question again, you can just send them to that blog post. So it kind of like works in two different ways for you. You can also try to think of questions you're asked a lot on, any consult calls with clients or even just like through email, any client questions you might get asked a lot. You can try to use those as well to basically repurpose your answer into a blog post. And again, another way that this can work too is once you write your blog post, it can then save you a lot of time in your own like content creation cycle. So, for example, a lot of our clients, what they'll do is once they have their blog post, they'll take their blog post, turn it into a carousel post on social media, and then it just becomes a whole other piece of content. So, again, it's one of those things that like both sides of this like content creation machine kind of like really feed into each other and can save you a lot of time in the long run and also like a lot of brain space. So, we're huge fans of repurposing. You'll probably see us repurpose this in many different ways. So, again, just like the more that you can repurpose things, the more you're really going to save yourself a lot of time.
Okay, so when it comes to blogging consistently, the first thing you want to do, again, is just set realistic goals. Start small and build from there. Don't try to go full in and be like, I'm going to write a post every single week if you haven't been blogging consistently already. Take it slow and build up from there. Build that editorial calendar where you can set dates for yourself that you can visibly see. You're always seeing it on your calendar. You know it's there. You know when you have to write. You know when you have to upload. And then if you are someone who wants to kind of do it all at once, absolutely batch it, schedule it, make it easy on yourself, and then take that content and repurpose it. It's such great content. It's content that people are going to love, and it helps you in all the other parts of your marketing because then you don't have to come up with 40 new ideas every single week on every single different platform that you're on, and it makes it really simple. We really encourage you to find a schedule that works for you and stick to it. But if you are overwhelmed by it, if it's just not something that you want to do for your own business, you can absolutely reach out to us about our Back Pocket Blogger service, and we will write all of those posts for you. We will take all of your content, all of the new sessions that you do, all of the tips that you want to share, and we will write them out in a post for you. So all you have to do is read over it and give us the photos. It's as easy as that. So if you want to learn more about that, you can go to the link in the description to check out all of that. But next week, we are going to be talking about SEO basics, which is huge. I know we get a lot of questions about this all the time and what to actually do for SEO on your blog. So if that's something you're struggling with, be sure to check in to that episode next week.